Welcome to Well Coached, the podcast where we talk about how people, sales, profit, and self come together to grow a business that actually works. I'm Chris Weinberg. I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs into their highest productivity zone by helping them get just corporate enough to lead with clarity, build with purpose, and scale with confidence. Let's dive in. Hey friends, it's Chris Weinberg. Welcome back to Well Coached. Today we are diving into a leadership quality that is often misunderstood, underestimated, and sometimes dismissed in the business world, but it is absolutely foundational, and that is empathy. Empathy is not just about being nice. It's a leadership skill. It's a strategy. It's a business advantage, and when done right, it's what separates good teams from great ones and forgettable brands from beloved brands. Oftentimes, people think empathy and nice are the same thing, or being nice as a boss won't get you anywhere. But here's the deal. Kindness should not be confused for weakness. There are plenty of great leaders out there that are super kind, super good to their people, full of empathy, but they ain't weak. They still have boundaries. They still have expectations. But they are empathetic leaders along the way on the journey of helping their teammates achieve their own goals and build their own confidence and their own competence. So using empathy in your leadership skill set goes a long way toward creating lasting team members. And when you have lasting team members focused on agendas where you have shown what good performance looks like, and you are giving said team member all the tools that they need to accomplish, you're going to have good results. Competence is going to grow. Confidence is going to grow. That's going to show up to your customers and clients. It's going to show up in your product maturation, and business is going to flourish. Let's break this down using the 4 pillars that we always come back to here at Well Coached: people, sales, profit, and self. We'll start with people. Your team is not a machine. They are not line items on a spreadsheet. They are humans with dreams and stressors and families and mental health needs and aspirations just like you. When you as the leader take time to actually see your people, not just for what they do, but for who they are, you foster loyalty. Empathetic leadership sounds like this. Hey, I noticed you seemed a little bit off in that meeting. What's going on? Or, you've been crushing it lately. Is there anything I can do to take things off your plate? Or even, I know you got a lot going on at home right now. Is there anything we can do to support you? Just showing little signs of care and concern about your team members will bond them to trust you, which bonds to loyalty, which bonds to greater performance. These are simple yet powerful moves that build trust and retention. And if you're a logic-based thinker, the mushy stuff or the empathy stuff might be something that you just don't naturally connect with. So try to come at it from a logic place of, if I have people who feel good about themselves and feel seen, the result of their performance at work for this business is going to be infinitely better. Get there from a logic place if it's not a natural switch from you. And let's not forget, the cost of replacing someone is massive. Empathy is a retention strategy. Let's move on to sales. Here's where people get it twisted. The best closers in the world are not the ones that are the loudest or the most aggressive. They're the ones that are most tuned in. Empathy is a superpower in sales. You've got to read the room. You're listening for tones, understanding body language, paying attention to eye contact. When someone hesitates after hearing your proposal, don't bulldoze through. Lean in and ask, I noticed you pause. What's giving you pause? If you're well versed in the DISC profile system, then you may know some ways to make reasonable assumptions about who am I in front of, a high D, a high I, a high S, a high C. If you can make those reasonable assumptions, you adapt accordingly. Nothing is so unequal as the equal treatment of unequals. People want to do business with people they relate to. So your ability to be an empathetic listener and therefore getting on someone else's level is going to give you a better shot at having a lasting relationship versus a transactional relationship. On the profit side, let's talk about dollars, because empathy is not just warm fuzzies. It impacts the bottom line. Customer churn kills profit. Employee turnover kills profit. Burnout kills profit. Lack of psychological safety kills innovation, and that kills profit. Think about if you've ever been in an environment where you had an ogre as a boss or a micromanager, and every time you had a new idea, boom, you just got punched in the face for it. Or no, that'll never work. Or we can't because. What happens? You quit giving good ideas. Now all of a sudden you may be a winner disguised as a loser. You got the ideas, you know what we should be doing, but you've got a boss or a leader who doesn't want to hear it. So you think about that. Now put on the boss's hat. Say you are the leader of said organization and you're a micromanager and you're the only one with good ideas. What kind of people do you think are going to stick around and work for you? Right? It ain't going to be eagles. It's going to be a bunch of turkeys. It's going to be a bunch of sheep, things that flock, things that don't need to use their brain. Because eagles need to be around leaders who encourage innovation, who encourage mind share. Psychological safety comes in the form of, no, we can't do that. No, we don't have the money for it. No, that'll never work. No, we've never tried that. Oh, we tried that last year. It didn't work. What you're teaching your teammates to do is not say anything. That lack of empathy will kill the company over time, or at least decrease the potential results. We've all seen organizations spend $100,000 to recruit new talent when a little empathy and maybe a raise of $5,000 could have kept that top performer in place. So many leaders get tripped up on the exact budget figure, right? Where one of your highest performing team members may had a new baby and needs a little bump in their salary so they're not worried about diapers or bread. But you're so tied to your budget that you say no. And so all of a sudden they have to leave to go down the street and now maybe compete with you so that they can provide bread and diapers for their baby. And now you're the ding dong out there spending another $100,000 to recruit the next talent that you are absolutely taking a risk on because you don't know if they're good or bad, if you can find them, not to mention the training time. It's a profit killer. Turnover is a profit killer, and empathy can reduce that dramatically. Retention is cheaper than acquisition, and loyalty is more profitable than churn. Those are easy math equations to figure out. Easy math. Let's talk about the self part. This may be the hardest one, and that's leading yourself with empathy. We've all done it. Beat yourself up, work 24/7, take on the stress of the world, take on every team member stress, take on a customer stress, take on a vendor stress. You got to give yourself grace when you're the boss. It means understanding your limitations. You are not supposed to be the master of everything. You want to get to a place to where you can hire folks that are better at you than some things. Now, in the beginning, you got to fake it till you make it. You know, may not have the assets or the cash to be hiring people, so you got to plug through it, try to shore up your weaknesses and get through it until you can hire. But the first thing you hire is someone that can shore up some of your weaknesses. Understanding your limitations is not a weakness. It's a signal. When you're tired, rest. When you mess up, apologize to yourself and others and move forward. There are very few things in life that have to operate on a zero defect basis. Flying an airplane might be one of those, but most things, the job description does not say perfect. And so you can't expect yourself to be perfect. You aim for perfection, but you give grace when you screw up and own it. Self-empathy is not an excuse for laziness. It's a fuel for sustainability. You got to cut yourself some slack. And as you're allowed and treat yourself to give yourself some slack, it also is wiring your brain to have empathy for others. And you think about that practice. If you're a leader that is just beating the heck out of yourself nonstop, how could you possibly have the skill set or empathy development to have empathy for others? Some people have empathy as a natural part of their deal, but empathy also can be learned. If you happen to lead with D's or C's and empathy's not a natural switch, that's okay. You can practice it. Find ways to catch people doing things right. Find ways to ask questions to you that may not seem logical, but they're more emotion-based. How was your weekend? How are your kids doing in school? Anything I can do for you? Those aren't logical questions. So someone with a D or a C, those aren't natural, right? You're just trying to get the job done. To an I and S, those are pretty natural things to be asking. So we got a little bit of an advantage there. But self-empathy, teach yourself first, cut yourself some slack. Getting in that routine will allow you to cut others some slack, or at least check in on folks. If you're the one running on fumes, resenting your team, blaming everyone around you, guess what? That is not high performance. That is burnout with a side of denial. Empathy for yourself starts with boundaries. Everyone needs boundaries. They might look different. They could be around sleep. It could be around healthy routines. It could be around meaningful connection. And from there, it radiates outward. A lot of the time, the boundary could be only doing things in your highest productivity zone, whatever that means, right? For me, it means hard things before 2 p.m., if at all possible, because I know I start waning after that. I get up very early. For some folks, highest productivity zone, maybe 10 p.m. at night. Okay, recognize it. Have some empathy with yourself. Don't try to do things outside of what is naturally your hot spot or hot zone. What you're doing by creating empathy for yourself and boundaries for yourself is you're teaching your team members how to mimic that performance. And at the end of the day, your employees are going to mimic your performance, even if it's just subliminal or they don't even recognize they're doing it. You come in a bad mood, you're teaching that bad moods are acceptable. You come in a good mood, you're teaching that good moods are expected. That doesn't mean we don't have bad days. And it certainly doesn't mean that kindness equals weakness. Those are two separate things. Now, unfortunately, sometimes team members may confuse the two, okay? And then you got to jerk in a line when the time is right. So let's wrap up. Let's land this plane. Empathy, it is not a nice to have. It's an edge, right? If we are super competent in our job of making our widgets, there's probably a competitor that is super good at making their widgets. Where does the difference come? Empathy is a big part of that, because as we're making our widgets, if we've got happy employees, long-term employees, we're not having to spend money on training because we're spending money on marketing, we're going to win. Empathy is an edge. It's the leader who notices when someone's having a hard day and checks in. That's empathy. It's the salesperson who listens more than they talk. That's empathy. It's the CEO who understands that investing in people creates exponential returns. And it's the entrepreneur who finally realizes that they need rest, not just hustle. Rest doesn't have to mean curling up in a ball and going to sleep or crying yourself to sleep. Hopefully you're never doing that. That could mean a walk around the park. Could mean playing tennis. Could mean going to work out. Go see a movie. If you want loyal teams, repeat clients, and a career that you can sustain, lead with empathy. That's all for today, friends. Go out there, be empathetic, go hug on somebody, go love on somebody, go catch somebody doing something right. Until next time, stay well coached. That's it for today. Thanks for being here. I hope something in this conversation sparked a new idea or gave you a little clarity. We'll be back next week to keep digging into what it means to lead well, grow smart, and build something that lasts. Until then, stay well coached.